We've talked a lot on this program, obviously, about SPACs coming to market. That's been the main vehicle for new issuance. But we are also seeing some traditional IPOs as well as direct listings, which now fall into the traditional IPO bucket, I guess, in the world of SPACs. Company set to make its debut later today is Roblox, the video game maker, set to be valued right around $30 billion or so, that we'll see where initial indications go on that name. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about this company is Matthew Kanterman. He's an analyst over at Bloomberg Intelligence. Matthew, thanks for joining today. Let's just start with maybe the 101 for boomers like me who don't have kids who are on Roblox all the time on what the company does and where it sits within the video game ecosystem, which has obviously had a very interesting year because of COVID.
Sure. Roblox is actually a game development platform. So developers can go in and use the tools that Roblox creates to make experiences. And then mostly young people go in and play the experiences with their friends. It's kind of like a shared 3D world that they can all hop into and chat with each other. And so it's kind of like a little bit of social networking and a little bit of gaming all mixed together.
Hey, Matt, it's Julie here. My kids are on this thing all the time and would be on it even more if I let them. The concern, of course, which is something the company highlighted, is twofold. One, that these kids will eventually age out of it, although I can't see that in my future, unfortunately or fortunately. And secondly, that when things start to open up back up again, that kids will just not be in front of their screens as much. How much do you think those things are a concern?
I think they're both important risks, especially when you consider the valuation and kind of how it's being priced relative to some of the peers. It's a fairly rich premium to some of the peers, and so you have to be cautious of some of the risks. And historically, they haven't been successful in targeting the older demographic and keeping gamers as they age out. Quite frankly, as gamers get older, there's more options, right? As you become older and can play more mature games, you can play Grand Theft Auto, you can play more hardcore racing and shooter games that necessarily aren't good for younger gamers. So I think that is a big risk, that these gamers don't stick with Roblox. And then another risk is simply just, as you mentioned, COVID. Engagement has just been off the charts for Roblox and more broadly for gaming, and that's just not going to be sustainable as kids go back to school, as people go back to work, et cetera. And as the economy just in general opens up in 2021, there's going to be a big hangover for the gaming industry.
And Matt, that ultimately raises the next question. As folks get back to their normal lives, I mean, this company lost close to $300 million on a net income basis last year, despite the influx of new users. I mean, so could the Roblox business model, can it be profitable?
I think it can be profitable in the long term, especially when you consider some of the growth opportunities they have around capturing more live experiences, not just gaming experiences, the concept known as the metaverse. They've successfully had concerts within Roblox. Their peer Fortnite has also done that. So the ability to bring in more types of these experiences that they can eventually monetize in various ways, including brand sponsorships, advertising, as well as simply just grow the user base and expand revenue per user over time. There's lots of avenues for them to grow and cover the expenses they're incurring now to build this platform.
And speaking of growth, talk to me about the...
Okay, Julie.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask more about the China opportunity when it comes to growth, because aren't they awaiting the beginning of a rollout in China?
Yeah, so they fortunately just got approval from the Chinese regulators through their joint venture with Tencent to publish. It's called Lobo in China. That's what Roblox is called there. And so that should be rolling out. We don't have a date yet, so we're waiting for more clarity on when that comes. It's kind of uncertain how successful they'll be in China. On the one hand, it's a huge gamer base, and Minecraft, which is like the closest competitor game to Roblox, has signed up over 400 million players in China through a partnership with NetEase. But on the other hand, it hasn't been financially, commercially very successful. So, it's kind of to be determined what that looks like. But there's definitely a huge opportunity just in terms of the number of eyeballs that they could reach within China.
No matter our tech editor, Dan Halley, just slacked us this question. It's a good one. They don't have a big game. You look at Nintendo, they have Mario Brothers. Do they need a hit like this? Do they need to slightly shift their model?
No, I think the beauty of Roblox is that all of the experiences are user created and user generated. And so from that, they don't necessarily need a big IP. They just need these young gamers who eventually age and hopefully stay to, have an emotional connection with these creators that kind of they've grown up with, who've built these experiences and expanded these experiences. So, I don't necessarily think they need it right now, but over time, they definitely need to diversify the portfolio of the experiences they offer. close to 40% of all the hours spent on Roblox are spent in 10 experiences. So it's pretty concentrated. And that's a risk, because if you're a creator, a developer on Roblox right now, at some point you might ask yourself, when is it worth it for me to like carve out from Roblox and go it alone and get a Unity license or an Unreal Engine license from Epic Games and really start getting into game development full time? I don't think we've hit that point yet, but I think that's a big risk as well, is that some of these developers who they rely on for such huge amount of engagement could eventually, leave the platform.
All right, certainly an interesting company and a very hotly anticipated debut. We'll see where the stock opens later today. Matthew Kanterman is an analyst with Bloomberg Intelligence. Matt, really appreciate the time today.
Thanks.